Hello, RAs. This is Jessica Karen, the AD for SOA Hall, and today I'm going to be walking you through the different steps you need to take when submitting a campus living information report. Prior to this in the presentation, you should have learned what SRR looks like and their process looks like, as well as what you need to do when confronting a policy violation. And this form is really connecting those two processes. So you are submitting the information from the policy that you confronted so that SRR can review it and create a case and reach out to that student and begin the process of student rights and responsibility. So the form is broken up into three pieces. The first part is your background information. Now, if anything in this form has required next to it, you for sure have to fill that in. But all this information is helpful for SRR to have. So you'll start with your name and your position. And then I don't typically fill in my phone number, but I do provide my email address. After that, man, I really struggled with that. After that, you'll fill out the nature of this report. So you have a couple of different options for you as you're submitting a report, and they're self-explanatory. They'll tell you whatever you're dealing with, what it fits in. If you have questions about that, ask your AD. But for the case of this and for the report that you'll submit at the end of this presentation, you're going to submit a training test report. Now you're going to submit the date and time of when the incident started. So that's a really important key. And as you saw in the presentation, this needs to be within noon the next day from your incident that happened. And the reason for this is that it keeps details fresh on your mind because you haven't taken too long to submit it, but also so that a student isn't hanging in limbo waiting to hear back about an incident that's already causing them probably some anxiety. We want SRR to get on it as soon as possible. So make sure that you're doing that within noon the next day or communicating with your AD if you need more time than that. The location of incident, you'll pick a hall. Sometimes there will be special cases, so like online things, if someone reports someone bullying them, things like that, you can select that. Most of the time it's going to be in a hall somewhere. And then specific location, this can be a hallway, a room, but this is really important for you to fill in because it gives us more context besides it happened in Aiken somewhere. The next section is involved parties, and so this is going to be all of the students who were involved. Now, it doesn't include you as an RA because you are the one making the report, so you're not an involved party. You didn't take part in the policy violation. You weren't the student of concern, so you don't go in here, and SR doesn't need to contact you necessarily. So I'm going to choose John Smith as we do. And put in his ID number, which is very complex, as you can see. Now, if I only had the student's first name, I wasn't able to get their ID number during the incident, say they didn't have their ID on them. You can also look up residents using this binocular right here. So you click on it, and this information comes up, and you can just search and find the name in there. You can also add additional residents. So if you have a big group of people, you can add all of them in there. If you added too many, just remove the last one. And that's how you add multiple residents. And then the third and main section of the report is the questions. So there's a big box here where you can write the narrative of your report. So I'm going to say at 12:03 a.m. on May 5th, 2019, Area Director on call, Jessica Karen, heard loud music coming from Aiken 103. This music heard 2 doors away from the room. And so you're going to type in your whole narrative of what happened and all that information that you recorded when you were documenting the incident. So that's why it's helpful for you to have like a notepad or something with you when you're on round so that you can write things out or put it on your phone. But you want to be very specific in what you put. So for example, here I said not only that I could hear loud music, but that I could hear it 2 doors away. So we know that it's loud enough that residents 2 doors down could be affected. keeping it concise. And then finally, objective. So it's not just that I feel that it's loud, it's that it's literally measured 2 doors away. Or if you have alcohol incident involved, you're not saying that someone's drunk and just saying, I think they were drunk. You're saying this resident was slurring their speech, had the smell of alcohol in their breath, and could see stumbling down the hallway. So you're giving us those details in a concise manner so that we can put that information together and potentially decide what violations were committed that way. And then beyond this report, once you're finished with your narrative, you're going to say who was there with you. So most likely the person that's going to be there with you is the area director and campus safety. For me, since I am the area director, I'm going to put RA and campus safety. Must have been a very loud room. And those are people that we just will typically have with us. These other ones down here you might see, so like an ambulance, for example. But these first 3 are going to be the main realms that you're in. And then if there was an ambulance present, what was the final product of that? So most of the time you're not going to have an ambulance, but if a student says they want to go to the hospital, it'll be a voluntary transport. If a student said they or was unable to say that they want to go to the hospital, we'll say they're unconscious, but they have to go. That would be an involuntary transport. No transport, so they were told they should go to the hospital, but they voluntarily said they were not going to go, or no transport deemed unnecessary. So it wasn't that big of a deal that the ambulance folks felt that they needed to go right at that moment. If you didn't have an ambulance there at all, you can just skip this question. And then who else might be submitting supplementary reports? And so in this case, if an RA was with me and I'm the AD reporting, the RA will also have to submit their own report in their version of events. So I can say RA Rose J will also be submitting a report, or campus safety, because they have their own reporting system too. And that's the same for area directors. So you can always put that information in there. That just helps student rights and responsibility consolidate all the reports together to make one case rather than accidentally opening multiple cases off different reports. And then finally, this isn't really a section on its own, but this is an optional area down here called supporting documentation. So say you had an alcohol incident and there were a lot of alcohol bottles and you decided to take a picture of those, you can add those to this section, and that just helps give us a clearer picture of what you were seeing. So that is just any supporting documentation. Sometimes we might have text messages sent to us from students that we have to put screenshots of, things like that. So you don't have to fill that in if you don't need it, but it is a helpful tool. And then finally, you hit submit report. And that's really all there is to it. So if you have questions about this, feel free to reach out to me or your AD. We'd be happy to walk you through that. A lot of your reports will be kind of graded on a rubric by Student Rights and Responsibilities so that they can help you better fill them out in the future. So that's it. After this, you'll be moving on to a practice scenario where you will write your own report on this page. So please come back to this if you need any assistance.